So now continuing on this template, let's say that I want to record how many steps the patient has taken before coming to the hospital. So hopefully there is an archetype for that. So let's go search the CKM. Now I'll just click on search again and click on step count. Seems like there is something called step count. Okay. Step count. Okay. Probably not. So let's just look at step. Or let's do a complete search. And let's try step count. Okay. So we don't have any archetypes with step count, and let's just search for step again. Again, this is to demonstrate that first you really need to do a search before you create your own archetypes and understand that there is nothing to suit your needs, and then only then you create an archetype. So let's see, procedure, no, not really, and none of these archetypes seem like appropriate archetypes to record the data point that we are going for, which is the number of steps that, okay, there is something called step length. So running, so let's see what this is for. Okay, running session, example, race or a jog. Again, it's in the draft status. So, okay, so they do have something called distance, duration, speed, pace. Okay, they do have an archetype for that. But just for demonstrating, I want to assume that this doesn't exist and I want to create a new archetype. Okay. So, but the first thing that you would do is to actually check if there is an archetype that already exists. So, what do we do? So again, this is open at its own tab, so you can just let it be and come here and you can now create your own archetype. So now you can just go and create an archetype, or you can create subtypes of an archetype like observation, evaluation, instruction, action, admin entry. So practically speaking, observations are usually data points that you observe at one point in time. So things like blood pressure, pulse, height, weight. These are all things that you observe at one point in time. Now, evaluation is again something that you ask the patient and you get a response from, and you are evaluating that. It might be your own evaluation also. Instruction is something that you give to an instruction to someone. For example, medication order. You want to order this prescription, you haven't done it yet, but you're just instructing someone to do that. Action is recording it after it's been done. You are doing a procedure on the patient and then recording the fact that you've done the procedure. Admin entry for things like admission, discharge. There are a whole variety of things here. So in this case, it's actually our decision to decide between observation and admin entry. Does the number of steps the patient has taken, is this really an admin entry or an observation? I would actually put it towards an observation, because every time that the patient comes in, he would have walked a different number of steps. So we'll create a new observation, and the concept, we are going to call it steps taken. And you can see that it automatically names it openEHR observation dot steps taken v0, and we'll keep the v version as 0, original language English, and create. Okay. I think we need to change the version. Version must contain only one number. Okay. Steps taken. Okay. So you cannot put a hyphen in the name of an archetype. You can put an underscore, so that works. So let's just create that. So now that you have an archetype, you can see that it has an any event. So this any event is actually part of the observation subtype. It's because we took the observation that we have any event. Now, as I said before, observations can be recorded multiple times, and that's why it is in an event. And it asks you what type of event is it. Is it a point in time event, or is it an interval event? Meaning you can record it in a point in time. So right now, how many steps have you taken? Or an interval. For example, for the past 10 hours, how many steps have you taken? For us, it's actually a point in time event. We just want to know at this point in time how many steps the patient has taken from his home. So I guess that makes sense. Now, going to the actual data, here is where you can add all of these different data points that are available here on the side. Now, what I'm just going to make this a little bigger for you to see. Okay, so what this means, this is actually exactly from the RM model, the reference model. So all of these data types are part of the reference model, and you can add all of these as part of your archetypes. Now what do you think the steps taken would be? So I would probably think that it's a number or it's a quantity, so that you have these types. Again, it's not very helpful that they don't say what type it is when you hover over it, but this is DV count, and again that means that you can have a number there in that. So let me just call it steps taken, and along with this, what else do we want to record? So let's just say that we also want to record where the patient is coming from. So let's just call this steps taken from location. Again, very bad naming right now. People won't really understand what this means, but this is just an example archetype to show you what you can do. So steps taken and from location. And when you are creating this, you can also populate the details, the location from which the patient is coming from, so people at least understand. So I'm just going to call this location. Steps taken, location. The number of steps taken to get to number of steps taken. I think that's enough. They can reuse that in other ways too. So the number of steps taken and the location from which the patient is coming from. Actually, let's have two data points from location, and I'm just going to clone this, and I'm just going to copy this, and let's paste it. Okay, that didn't do it. Okay, let's just go in the text again, and okay, is that a text? From location, and one more text to location. So from location will be where the patient is from, where the patient started from. Again, it's not subject started from, because they might use it for something else. Where the subject has arrived, for example. Again, very, very bad examples here, but just to show you that there are these multiple data types. So this is a count, this is a text, and this is a text. And it also makes sense to record some sort of a time when this took place. So when did the patient reach the hospital? So you have other data types as well. So for example, this is a DV date time and arrival time. So let's just add that. Although you need to know that, so again, that's where the from location went. So I think it just went outside of the, okay, let me go inside the archetype again. So I'm not able to click that. It's probably a bug on their side, but let me just save this. Okay, saved. So now what do we have right now? So now we have the data, any event, and we have steps taken from location to location, arrival time. Now this text, you also need to know that the text can also take in a coded text. So you can give it multiple data types here. And for example, if you want it to be from a drop-down list of different locations, you can do that as well. So you need to know that you can give it multiple types here, but when you are making the template, you can cancel these out and choose one type. So just for demonstration, let me show you how this works. So I've saved this archetype. So here under the content, our archetype should show up now, steps taken. So you can see that steps taken has come up here. Let's add that. And you can see that it has steps taken from location to location. Again, this is some bug here. I'm not able to delete this properly. I think closing and opening might help. Let's just open this again. Yeah, so this shows up again. Let's just delete that. Let's delete this as well. So steps taken from location to location, arrival time. Okay, now I'm saving this. Now if I go here, this doesn't reload immediately, but you can make it reload if you delete it and steps taken. Let's add it again. Now it's the exact same data that's there here. Now, what you can do here in the template is you see that it has available types, coded text and text, and you can just say that it can only be a coded text. And here we can just say that it can only be a text. So again, this is just to show you how this works. And you have the ability to change any text field into a coded text field by just changing that into external coded. So that means that they will give you a coded text. So the way openEHR works is that all text fields are also coded text fields. So if there is a text field anywhere, you can always at runtime change it to a coded text and put in a code along with the text there, and it will still work. So that's how these things work. It's a little dynamic, the text and coded text, you can change that anytime. So finally, I've added this, and I want to call this steps taken from home. Okay, and I want to keep the to location as the hospital. So I want to keep this fixed. So instead of external coded, I'm just going to make it free text, and the default value will be hospital. So you can do things like that. The from location will be the place from which the patient actually comes from. So again, a very silly example. I don't see much use of this particular data point, but maybe if they have something like a smartphone and you want to actually count the steps taken, and you actually want to track the coordinates from which the patient is coming and going, you can add that as another archetype, and you can put it in your template and also save it. So we've saved it. We'll just rebuild the UID so it doesn't clash with the previous template. So once you do that, you have your template ready, and it has your own archetype right now. So there are multiple ways of exporting this so that other people can use it. So when you look at the export options, there is export native. So this will export it to a native JSON format that only the better archetype designer, this particular tool, understands. And then there is OPT. So OPT is the compiled template format, or it's actually called the operational template format, OPT. And that can be used anywhere at any point in time. Just that one OPT file is enough. And that's what we'll mostly be looking at. But there are also these other things to keep in mind. Especially exporting to a file set is useful if you want to share the entire thing with someone else, and they get access to all the archetypes that you used and the templates that you used. So now OET is another format that has the template, and it references the other archetypes that it is using. So we'll take a look at how OET looks like. So that's the OET format, and it doesn't know how to open it. So I'm just going to go inside here and open this with my text editor. So again, you see that it's an XML, and it has all of these details on what archetypes it's used and what exactly, what all changes we've made, but it does not include the archetypes themselves. Now, if we export it as a file set, so this will include almost all of the things that we need. So I'm just going to extract that, and you can see here, it includes the archetypes, all of the archetypes that we used, including the ones that were part of the CKM, as well as the ones that we just created, also the template. So it also has the OPT, it has the native template, and in fact, if you ask me, this is probably the best format to keep it long term, because you can rebuild the entire thing with just this file set. But for most purposes, when you are exporting to an application developer, you can just give the OPT file, and we'll see how to handle an OPT file in the next module. But in your assignment, which is to create a simple template for a nurse who needs to record both the blood pressure and the pulse, you need to export it as an OPT and then give it back to us. So click on export to OPT, and again it downloads the OPT file. So you can see here that first template.v0.opt, and let's just have a look at the OPT. So OPT again is an XML file, and it has all of the details needed to use this during runtime. Okay, so I'm just gonna close all of this. So this is an OPT, and this is what you'll mostly be using. Thank you for watching. This video was part of the openEHR course that's available on the MedBlocks e-learning platform. I believe that the best way to learn a topic is to actually do it yourself and learn by doing it. So we have a lot of tasks for you in the course that we'll help you do, along with more video content just like this. And if you're interested in that, please do check it down in the link below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.